Hi, I'm Scott. Welcome to Synth Stuff. The virtual Softsynth plugin version of the Montage M has now been released. Yamaha is calling it ESP for Expanded Softsynth Plugin. We're going to try it out and see how it works. Coming up. So normally when I demonstrate new products, I will take time ahead of time to explore and learn it so that I can present it in a manner that actually makes sense and that it looks like I know what I'm doing and that can actually convey some usable information to you. This time is different. This time I'm just going to do it on camera, and so we'll see how that experience is, because this is something brand new for Yamaha. Yamaha has never done a soft synth version of a hardware synth before. When Yamaha announced the Montage M, they said any purchaser of the Montage M will get a free copy of the Softsynth ESP version of the Montage M when it comes out. They said that would come out in January. It's barely January, it's still January. We're getting the initial version of it now that allows you to apparently use it to make sounds and work as a librarian. The full editing version that lets you do everything on the Montage in the Softsynth is apparently going to be coming out later on this year. The Softsynth version allows you to run multiple instances of a Montage on your computer. You can take it with you. You can run a Montage on your laptop. So if all you have is a little portable keybed or controller that you're taking with you and a laptop, you can have the functionality of your Montage anywhere you go. And yes, that's one of the main reasons that brought me to buy my Montage M over and above the ANX engine. The first thing you have to do before we do this is to upgrade the firmware in the Montage M. The new 1.2 firmware comes with a few changes. One, it adds support for this new ESP plugin Softsynth. It changes and fixes a few UI things. Apparently you can now change the font size on the main and sub displays for certain functions. And there was one more change where you can see the parameter values when you're altering something on the sub display with a graph displayed. I guess previously the graph would obscure the actual values, and now you can see those values as you're making those changes. So let's go through the update process and see what's involved. Be very careful with this update because Yamaha tells you that it will perform a factory reset on your Montage as part of this firmware update. So before we do it, we're going to back up everything. We hit Utility, Content, Save. We're going to change the content type to a backup file. Then we'll hit Save New File. We're going to name the file that we're going to back it up. I usually put a date in there. So here's our backup file. Hit Done. And it will save. This takes several minutes. I will speed up the video so you don't have to sit here and wait for it to happen. But this records every setting, every library, everything in your Montage into a single backup file. So now that that is completed, we have a full backup on our USB stick. Now I'm going to take a different USB stick that's empty. I'm going to put it into the Montage. We're going to hit Utility again to format it. So go to Contents, we're going to hit Job in the top right corner. Then in Devices, we're going to select the device that we want to format. And there's our Montage USB. We hit Format and then Format Yes. It wants a name for the put onto the USB stick. Hit OK and it will format it. Now we're going to take that empty USB stick, put it in the computer, and copy the firmware update file that we downloaded from Yamaha into the root of that USB key, and then we'll eject it from the PC. Okay, so I've got my USB key here that is formatted on the Montage, and I have copied the file, the update file, into the root of this USB key. So we're going to power off the Montage M. I'm going to plug in USB key, and now we're going to hold down the cursor up key and the utility key at the same time, these two right here, while we power on the Montage. We wait for the Yamaha logo to come up, and then we can let go. And now you can see it says waiting for USB storage, and it's found that USB storage, and it has begun the update. Okay, it's updated, complete, so we'll turn it off, remove that drive. I'm going to put my old backup drive back in there, and we'll turn the Montage back on. So as you can see,
it has lost everything. So it's basically done a factory reset because this is not how my Montage normally comes up. I have it configured to come up on a performance screen, and yeah, everything, it looks like everything is gone. If I go to my user, yeah, there's nothing there. So it actually wiped the Montage. It is completely gone, which is why they have you do a backup first. So let's go back up to our utility, contents, load. We're going to load a backup file off there, and the backup file that we just did is right there. And I will say load.
Okay, we're updated to 1.2 on the Montage. Next, let's have a look and see what's involved in installing the plugin. To start with, you're going to have to download and install the Steinberg Download Assistant. If you use Cubase, as I do, then you already have this installed because it's what's used to install the applications, register the licenses, and install updates. And as you can see, I actually have several updates waiting to be installed. We'll deal with that at another time. When you got your Montage M, it came with an expanded Softsynth Plugin sheet that had a download access code, which it looks like a GUID, like a bunch of numbers and letters separated by dashes. And we're going to enter that into the Download Assistant. So I will go ahead and type mine in here. I'm not going to show it to you because it's secret. So I've typed in my code, and now I click OK, and let's see what happens. All right, so I'm now entitled to use this product, Expanded Softsynth Plugin for Montage M, and we click OK, and there it is in my product download section. So we will go ahead and download this one. 7.25 gigabytes. Obviously, it has a ton of samples because it has the full Montage sample set in there. This is interesting that Yamaha has done this because the way they've done it is such that they could issue download codes even if you don't have a synthesizer. So at a later date, they could sell this plugin as a product in its own sense, apart from the hardware. And I would strongly suspect that they will do this in the future, that even if you don't have the Montage M hardware, you will be able to buy the Montage M plugin and run it within your DAW. All right, we've downloaded it. Now let's open it. It will open up a folder that shows a zip file that contains the downloaded ESP. We'll open the zip file and copy that folder into the folder that we downloaded. Close that up, and now you can see we actually have the files that were installed. We have an exe executable and some bin files. So we're going to double click on the exe file, and that should start the installation process. So we'll select English, and then the software agreement, which of course we read in full, didn't we, before we clicked I accept, and then we install. This takes quite a while because there's a lot of files. Look at all those arpeggio files being copied in there. So this does take several minutes to do because there's, like I said, there's a ton of files. I'll speed it up here. All right, it completed, so we'll click Finish, and we can actually delete these installation files if we want to. You can see I've got all these other installation files for the various versions of Cubase and all, and it does take up a fair bit of space. And if we look at this Montage M, you can see this all together is taking up 13 gigabytes. It's a fair amount of space. We can just delete it without worry, because if we need it again, we can simply re-download it in Steinberg Download Manager. All right, so let's open up Cubase. Can you help me out for a moment? Click like on this video if you like what you saw so far, and click subscribe to my channel because it really helps me out when you do that, and you get notified every time I post one of these videos. Go ahead, do it, I'll wait. Thanks, let's get back to the video. Okay, so I've opened up Cubase, and the first thing I have to do is go into my VST plugin manager. And if we look on our list here down at the Yamaha part, we have Expanded Softsynth Plugin for Montage M. That's what we want to add. So we're going to drag that over into my digital hardware emulation folder, because that's where I have all my emulated hardware VSTs. And now over here I have all hardware instruments, but what we're looking at is software instruments. So let's add an instrument track, and we will select expanded soft synth, and we'll call this Montage M V for virtual, and it should come up. There it is. Okay, so let's open it and see what it looks like. Now, my somewhat dated DAW PC, which is in desperate need of being upgraded, is probably going to have issues trying to record this 4K monitor as well as run a Montage instance at the same time. So we may hear some dropouts, but hey, we'll know when we hear it. So it defaults, I can see, to the standard CFX FM EP. And interesting that it has a big image of the Montage M at the bottom here, whereas most VSTs have a piano key bed that you can actually play. So if I were to add, for instance, well, what else have I got on here? Mini Freak. So if I add a Mini Freak on here, you can see when you open it up, just like virtually every other instrument, you can play it just by clicking on the key bed like that. So it's interesting that the Montage one doesn't have that, and they instead just put a picture there. So I can't play it unless I have a MIDI keyboard plugged into it, which I do. All right, so let's try playing it. And I guess this is my super knob. All right, it looks and sounds like a Montage. We have our scenes up here. I guess, oh, okay, so here's our selection of presets. So if we pick an ANX over here, and then we can say a Synthy EP. And how do I get rid of this? I guess, yeah, click over there. All right, sounds good, doesn't it? Let's see, we have the different parts in here, so can we edit these? If I click on this, oh, look at that. Yeah, we can. We can change the different sawtooths, and oh, that went away. What happened there? So here's my octave. Let's edit this one, which is the one that's sounding. That's pretty cool. Okay, so how do I go back to common? All right, there's my common. There you heard that cut out. That is not reflecting on the instrument itself. That is strictly my limited power DAW PC, which I think I'm being told now needs to be upgraded. Let's see, can I add, oh yeah, look at that. I can add, let's see if I want to add an AWM2, and how can I tell, I want single only, there we go. So let's pick Growling Wolf and put that in there as well. Oh, that's loud. Let me pull down, where's the common? So if we add in a multi that has a ton of stuff, let's add a FMX multi. What do we have in here that we can add? Combo organ. Well, there wasn't really, oh, I want a blue one, perk organ. There we go. So now I've got 2 ANX parts, an AWM2, and 2 FMX. Let's see what it sounds like. I get nothing out of the organ. There we go. And if we look over on the right here, for the FMX that I've selected, we have Oh, look at this. We can actually alter our operator. So there's actually, they said this is a non-editing version of the Montage M, but I'm seeing plenty of things that we can edit. Although we say feedback here. Oh yeah, I can just by dragging on it. I can change the algorithm. I can change the feedback. Just not easily. So I don't know if there's another way of changing it other than this, but just dragging just the tiniest amount, it's pretty tough to change the feedback amount. Here's our filter. We have our EQ, and what else? We have different common level amplitude envelopes, e.g. and then our LFO depth, the speed. Okay, so we have the typical performance and some editing in here. Now what do we do here? What does that do? Oh, so this is where we can pull things from the synthesizer. Now receiving, what's happening? So my Montage is connected, but doesn't seem to be oh, here we go, in. We have to tell it what we're going to connect to. So let's say Montage M, and the port open error. Oh, you know what? Okay, this isn't going to work because I'm trying to connect to the Montage M, and my DAW is already connected to the Montage M, so it fails. What happens if I say 2? I wonder if that works. Let's see what happens. Yeah, nothing. So it looks like I have to disconnect my Montage M from the DAW in order for this to connect to it and work as a librarian, unfortunately. There is a way around that. You can connect up the Montage in 2 different ways, USB and DIN MIDI, and that way you can connect up your DAW versus USB, and then you can connect this up versus DIN MIDI, or the other way around. But from what I'm seeing here, I can't make this work, which is unfortunate. I'll have to try that another time when I've disconnected it from my DAW. All right, so that's basically what transmits. This is like the old Montage Connect, where you can transmit and receive patches to and from your synthesizer. And this allows us to load from other libraries, it appears. And here's our settings. Oh, we can change the size of the window. I want it large. And some overall settings that are specific to this. And we have legal notices. That's very nice. Art Master, MS Master. So I'm pretty impressed with this. It's actually playing things that I didn't expect it would on this underpowered machine. It's playing them quite well. And it sounds good. It sounds just like the Montage. So what do you think? I'm actually really impressed with this. It's exactly what they said they were going to do. They said they were going to release it in January. They have. They said it will be a limited version that does not allow full editing. Actually, I think they've gone a little bit beyond that, because from what I can see, you can do a bit of editing. Some of it is just performance. You adjust controls, but there were some things in there that I could see that I could actually change the performances, change the values of AWM2 parameters, FMX parameters, and the ANX parameters. So the fact that you can do that says to me that it's a little bit more than the librarian that they said it was going to be. Obviously, some of the more in-depth editing parameters that you can only do on the Montage hardware are not quite there yet. They said they'll be coming out with that later on this summer. I think this is a real game changer in terms of the Montage ecosystem from Yamaha, because I know I am not going to take my Montage and go gig with it. It's big, it's heavy, it's expensive. I'm just not going to do it. That's what the Modi X line typically is for. But now I can take any inexpensive MIDI controller and a laptop, and I've got not just a Montage, but I have multiple instances of Montage. If I had something like Camelot Pro to host those Montage instances, I could then work that into my set and have it change the settings in the different Montage instances, that's a game changer. Who wants to carry around a 50-pound synth like this when you can have a little MIDI keybed and a laptop that has all the sound and capability of the big brother Montage? And you're typically not doing a lot of editing and tweaking on stage, you're just playing whatever the presets are that you've set up ahead of time, which you can do at home on the hardware. At least that is what the real value proposition is for me. Of course, doing that, you're not going to have the benefit of the very, very high quality analog audio output of the Montage hardware. You're going to be depending on whatever it is you have plugged into your laptop, be it an audio interface or, God forbid, the headphone jack. But you can also record in your DAW from those Montage instances and get perfectly pristine digital recordings without the analog step in the audio chain. Of course, you can do that today just by recording over the USB audio interface built into the Montage itself. But you can have multiple instances of the Montage playing inside your DAW at the same time, so that's huge. One thing I haven't yet checked to see is whether it will output the different parts on different audio channels within the DAW so that you could record individual parts individually like you can with USB interface in the Montage today. I'd be surprised if you can't do that, but it might not be there till July. Like I said, what I've seen of the Montage ESP is what you just saw me do in the video. So I do have some more investigation there. I got to figure out how to load all my libraries and presets that I've created in Montage into the ESP version of the Montage so I can use it inside the DAW. That's it for this video. I hope you like what you saw. And can I ask you to take 10 seconds, subscribe to the channel. I'm really trying to get the subscriber numbers up. It really helps me out when you do that. If you have any comments, questions, suggestions, corrections especially, please leave them in the comments section below. I do read all of those. Thanks for watching.